What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 108 of the Silver and Gold podcast. I'm Josh,
Hi, Mike.
and today, we're back and better than ever. I was just rewatching, the intro with everyone just now, and I have to say, dude, our podcast is so cool. I kind of miss being on. Well, I absolutely miss being on here. It's just, the lack of free time, and we were letting topics build up. Mike, feels good to be back, right?
It feels good, and it looks like you're like an angel descending from heaven right now because you're
Yeah.
so well lit.
How about now? Oh, is that better, or should I just turn it off? No, I need it on, right?
It might look it might look
Is
better.
that is,
Oh,
is that better?
that's probably what it was before, but yeah, it looks fine.
Okay, hold on. Let me turn it down a little bit. Can't be blinding everybody with my beauty, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I
Okay.
guess if I just point more light on me, it might even it out and it looks fine. But then I just cast a shadow with my hat.
Yeah, you look kind of dumb, Mike. Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Glad you caught it.
it's the Raider.
You said it's the Raider way.
Yeah,
Um,
a Raider
I,
hat.
or perhaps I am an angel that fell out of heaven. Perhaps I'm
Yeah.
one of Jesus' strongest soldiers.
Hmm.
Um, inside references to a fantasy football video that I sent my group chat, which a total of maybe 3 people watched. But all right, let's get into it. Mike, speaking of an angel, protecting somebody, we can go ahead and talk about the angel that protected Kyle Shanahan from what was nearly a near fatal crash, or potentially fatal car accident that he was in. I want to say almost a month ago now. Isn't that crazy? Like, didn't it happen like on the 16th? Like, this was like 3 weeks ago.
Well, yeah,
The
I
news
don't even
came out
remember.
11 days after that it happened.
Yes. Yeah. I was gonna say because I know it happened like a good 2 weeks before that anybody ever announced anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, no, so, I I'm very thankful that Kyle Shanahan is alive, and I'm very thankful that, like, now that we're some time away from it, that he seems to be recovering and, being a little bit more involved in practice. One thing I will say that really impressed me about it, like, I know people were up in arms about like the coverage and why it didn't come out, and, like, to be quite honest, I haven't really had the time to, sort of have a major opinion one way or another about that aspect of it. But I did watch, I watched Grant and his dad talk about the, you know, Kyle Shanahan once the article came out, and once like the info started coming out that it was the girl, the 21-year-old girl's fault. uh, Kyle Shanahan invited the media to the facility, and even though like he's concussed, he like invited them in, set the record straight, and I was just, I honestly, um, I was so proud of him. I was so proud that he did that, and like admitted to the mistake that he made. He dropped his phone, and was reaching for it, and then veered off into the lane, and admitted that the accident wasn't reported correctly. Like, he very well could have just like let the process play out itself and kept people wondering, but the fact that he set the record straight, and he was vulnerable. Like, he was crying in his office, apparently, according to all the media members that were there. And they like exchanged a very like heartfelt moment. Like, he shared pictures with them of like what he looked like after the accident. He talked about how like his face was like split open and had to get 40 stitches and plastic surgery. And I wasn't there, but this is all from what I gathered listening to Grant talk about it. So if I don't want to give off the impression that I was there, you know, but just
hmm.
the way that it was described, It was honestly like, it was beautiful that, he like opened himself up to, you know, uh, to media members, even, whether he likes them or not, you know, um, wasn't afraid to cry in front of everybody. And, um, there was, oh, so I guess one of the stories that he told was like, he, okay, so he got into that accident and like the ambulance was going to take him away, but he's like, I just called my wife, like, and keep in mind, his face is like, split open. It's like his car's totaled, all this. Um, and he, he, he told the ambulance not to take him to the hospital. Like he wanted to wait for his wife. He told his wife where to find him, and then like
Mm.
waited like half an hour, like in pain or whatever. I guess also in shock too. Then
I
went
think he
and
was
then
concussed, right?
he was concussed. He probably still is. He definitely is feeling the ramifications of the concussion. Uh, 49er media.
Yeah,
No
because it was.
outdoor, no outdoor chair covers today. Yeah, no, the weather's
Yeah,
finally good. That's funny. That's a good one. Um,
they said it was a severe concussion.
yeah, yeah, and then so that was part of like setting the record straight too. Like a severe concussion, I guess, is like a separate diagnosis that could be a lot more serious. But it was a bad concussion, but not a like the medical term, a severe concussion.
Mm.
Which could be like season threatening. In the worst case.
Yeah,
So it wasn't that it was sort of a mix up on that part. But yeah, it was like he was getting operated on and his wife was in there and he's like they're injecting him with like, they're literally injecting the stuff to numb his face and he
yeah,
goes it feels like they're injecting it into my eye. Are they, he asked his wife, are they injecting it into my eye, right? Because his
mm.
freaking face is split wide open. And his wife, he noticed his wife didn't answer, and then he goes, hey, you never answered my question, like. And she
Mm.
goes, yeah, because they were.
Yeah.
Imagine a needle injecting stuff into your eyeball, like, it's insane.
They were going in his eyeball.
Yes, according to him. Well,
Oh,
according to the media, according to him.
yeah.
Like that to me is crazy. And that, he got like good, the way that it was described, his head was so swollen, it looked like a watermelon, and it was like had gashes on it.
Yeah.
He almost lost his eye because I think like the what is it, the um I don't know, some sunshade or something. I don't know. I
Sun
don't
visor.
maybe the sun visor. It might have been the sun visor. But yeah, and he said like the other car was driving like a pretty nice BMW, and he was driving a Tesla, which is like made out of plastic, so it like completely folded, like crumpled up, like it was, you know, didn't last.
Damn.
So
Yeah.
that to me, like that story is insane, and the fact like he's just imagine he's in the room and like, you know, like one oh and part of the reason why he like invited the media was so he had been in contact the with the father of the girl that he crashed with. I mean, she's doing good, but she's like 20, 21 years old, and so like he would rather be in contact with the father than to be like messaging uh
Her.
yeah, like a 20
Yeah.
21 year old, um which I kind of understand. And so he took full responsibility, and he promised the dad that he would not, he would do everything that he can to not let the media go after her.
Mm.
So it was like a
Yeah,
very like to me, everything that I know about this is like, wow, that was a. I don't think I've ever been more impressed with Kyle Shanahan the person.
yeah. I think I have a good amount of thoughts, or at least I think there's an interesting conversation here with Kyle Shanahan because we get to know the players to whatever extent that they allow us to, and typically I think the teams not only enjoy, I mean, really, the teams benefit from players having unique personalities and inviting personalities or, you know, popularity, what have you, right? Like, if a player is good and then on top of that, they're like cool or funny as fuck, like George Kittle, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a profitable quality, I think, for an organization like a football team or any sports team, right? If if they're not only a fan favorite player because they're good, but they also like just do really good PR,
Mm-hmm.
I think that goes a long way. And I think most coaches don't don't give the fans as much. Like you have the occasional like John Gruden, who he's not eccentric, but
He's
he
got a
was very
personality.
rowdy. He has a personality, and he fit the Raiders, right? Even back, way back when.
I'm not into
You get
dreams,
the
man. I'm into fucking nightmares.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you get Hard Knocks, and that adds a lot because you're getting their personalities to come out through a TV show. Whereas like coaches are trained to answer questions a certain way, and I'd say for the most part, coaches kind of have to stay strictly business. And I think where the conversation starts for me with Shanahan is he's a coach's son. He grew up football, you know, and he grew up with one of the all-timer coaches in Mike Shanahan
Mm-hmm.
as his father, you know. Um and I think that probably that has to affect you somehow, you know, or not in like I don't mean that in a negative way, but just I'm sure being a head coach and especially a Super Bowl winning head coach, you spend a lot of time with football, you know? That's not, and again, I'm not trying to make this a negative thing. It's just, I think if for any kid growing up to whatever capacity with their dad in their life, typically they idolize their dad, right?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't blame any kid for seeing, I mean, good example would be Clint Kubiak, the Raiders coach. His dad was a coach. Um, I don't blame any kid for seeing that in their dad, watching the sport, falling in love with it because you and I both have, our viewers have fallen in love with this sport. It's very easy to do so. Um, I guess my point is just I think that he grew up in a unique lifestyle or upbringing with his dad. Um, and I guess just the point is he's not a cookie cutter coach, but he was raised in the lifestyle of being a coach and what to and not to do, you know?
Yeah.
And I've always found it extremely interesting, mostly through you, but through really most Niner fans, um, in that a lot of Niner fans get really irritated with Kyle Shanahan very easily. And my perspective is, yes, I think if I were in your shoes, I'd be really upset about the two Super Bowl losses under his coaching, right?
Yes.
I'd be upset about that for sure. But from my perspective as the piss poor Raider fan, is that guy wins games, and that guy specializes on the offensive side of the football, and they are always good on offense, unless you have catastrophic injuries, and even then, you guys probably still make the fucking playoffs. It's impressive stuff, all while he. I shouldn't say that he doesn't cause any drama. Maybe I don't think that he causes drama, but he does have a lot of drama on his team. And maybe because of that, because of the Brandon Ayuk's and whoever else, um, you kind of have to find somebody to blame. And I think Shanahan is just the easy one to blame.
I got a couple things. Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Okay, real quick. So I'm pretty sure the last time or the last several times we did the podcast, I was over here one of the last times that we were doing the pod, I was laughing just at like, how does this stuff always happen to the Raiders? And then all of a sudden it's like Brandon Ayuk, and then hey, our freaking coach ends up in the hospital, like emergency surgery. Like, you know, I mean, it's crazy how quickly things will change. That being said, on your point about sort of being annoyed with Shanahan, is I feel like a lot of my annoyance is not just it's not about the fact that he failed. You know, it's not as much about his failures to me. Like because it's one thing to fail, but it's another thing to like not take accountability for and think about like what you could have done better. And
Mm.
I think this is why I'm like so endeared to this situation about the crash, and just sort of like you know I felt like it was one of the first times or one of the best examples where Shanahan, I think, like he made a mistake, and he like and then sometimes I don't like how snarky and defensive he gets with the media. Like he absolutely could have done that in this situation. He could have just waited to heal and like, oh, you guys don't know anything. Like,
Right.
but no, I mean, he invited the media, like, come to, everybody come to my office. I want to set the record straight. He talked off the record. He talked on the record. You know, like that to me, that's what I like to see. That's like, all right, you made a mistake. Like if he would have had a similar thing like after the Super Bowl, like what, I really feel like there are some things that I would change, and if I could go back, like I would have done things a little bit differently.
Mm.
Then I would have, like I wouldn't be at so much as like, man, this guy just doesn't get it. You know, like
Mm.
he'll make the same mistake over and over if he doesn't acknowledge his mistake. And this to
Yeah.
me, this situation here, like showed me like a different side of Kyle Shanahan that I don't think that we've ever seen. Where it's like, all right, he's not just like he could absolutely been like, Grant, your article was wrong. Like, what the fuck do you have against me? Like, like, you know, so I mean, the fact that like he chose to go with this approach, it was just like this is exactly how somebody who's representing the San Francisco 49ers should handle themselves. And the fact that he didn't have to, he could have waited a little longer. Like he's concussed and he did it, and I'm sure it took a lot out of him. Like that's why I'm so thoroughly impressed with this.
Mm.
It's like, dude, you know, as much as like you know like this to me completely changes my like it changed my perspective on Kyle Shanahan. It's like, wow, he does have this in him, to handle himself this way and just not like always be so snarky. And like I have to say, everything from last season to this season, I have not been, like Shanahan to me has never been higher. And we last made the Super Bowl like 2 to 3 years ago, But
Yeah.
everything like since then, it's just been like, after the Super Bowl hangover
Impressive.
season, 2025 and 2026 so far. You know.
Yeah. Really quick, and then we can move on because I feel like we spent a lot of time on this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh damn. I have so many more thoughts. Damn it. And I just totally lost it. That sucks. Wow. I mean, there is for sure one that I know, but you said something just now that like made me think something. Well, I know. Okay, earlier you were talking about like I'm gonna totally fuck up or mix up your words here, and I don't mean to do that.
Yeah.
If say a good example, the best example really of why Niner fans get upset with him is losing Super Bowls, right, or losing the big games or what have you, and if he comes out of that game and we all witness it, like really both Super Bowls, you guys had the lead, if I'm not mistaken, and it's like you could have ran out the clock. You have Christian McCaffrey in one of those games, like, and either game you had great run games. It's like run the damn ball, and then he has to go and get seemingly not cocky, but throwing the ball. I think most football fans watch that and go, he fucked up because he's the play caller. And I'm not trying to take blame away from him. Like, he's the head honcho of this franchise and running the offense. When that shit fails, it is on him. And ultimately, he's the one that has to answer to it, which is a very valid reason why Niner fans get upset with him, because he is the guy to get upset with. And then not taking accountability of like, yeah, I should have ran the ball more in the fourth quarter. God damn it. But instead it was like, well, and he gets defensive. It's like, I think there's a bit there with him of being extremely confident in his play calling, because I think he knows that he's good at it. And it's like, who can really tell me shit? And I think part of that's right, but also a big part of that, you're right. And like, well, you should kind of take accountability because you lost for a fucking reason after having the lead, So I totally get that. Um, as far as his like personality, I think maybe I'm overthinking or something, but I think Shanahan's just interesting to me because living here in the Bay Area and hearing the conversations and whatnot, when Niner fans get upset with him or what have you, I've just always found it interesting, and I find him interesting because his personality, not him as a coach, but his personality is very much like cookie cutter coach, and he doesn't say anything flashy other than like, well, you never know if we're gonna be alive tomorrow. We could all be dead, or some weird shit like that every here and there.
No, he said,
Um,
I don't know if Jimmy's gonna be alive on
yeah,
Sunday.
yeah,
I might have to take
like
him.
he'll
I might have to take him to the back and hey Lenny, we're gonna tend the wabbits.
yeah, like I'm gonna fuck this up. Um, he has his occasional moments of like something silly like that, or being very defensive, with like the media. But he never really gets the opportunities, or just never wants to have the opportunities. I don't know, to portray his personality like players typically do. Um, and I think a big reason for that is growing up the way that he probably grew up, and the, who his dad is, and everything that he's been through and all that. God damn, what is my point there? I think that makes it easier to, maybe I'm overthinking this. I think that might make it easier to kind of dehumanize him. Not that he's some big victim or something like that, but just it takes a moment like this, not only for a car crash and be like, holy shit, that dude almost died, but also to hear about how like vulnerable and upfront and taking accountability that he did, to be like, whoa, Kyle Shanahan, real dude, because you
Yeah,
never see it.
yeah.
Um,
I see your point. I see your point now.
and I think because of the status that he has as the head honcho of the team, who when the team doesn't succeed, put the blame on him. Like I'm not saying he's a victim in the sense of like people bully him. Like who gives a shit? It comes with the territory with the NFL. But I've always found it interesting how successful he is, and yet he gets a lot of like flack for being like this robotic or whatnot coach, and super like less person. He exudes less personality than maybe even many coaches do, and very like by the book and like this is the playbook, this is our Bible, and like it doesn't seem like he's like one of the bros with the team, but then again he might be,
No,
you
he
know.
is one of the bros with the team. Well, with the particular portion of the team.
Yeah,
But yeah, like no, I would say if he would have came out of those Super Bowls, all right, like because I think he was explicitly asked like, is there anything that you would do differently? He's like, there's nothing I would do differently. It's like, oh really? You know,
yeah,
offensive player of the year in the backfield. You know you completely stop running the ball in the third quarter. You not you don't want to do anything different. Like he's like,
yeah,
because if I look back, blah blah blah, and it's like, no, dude, reflection is good for growth, right?
yeah.
Because like we get it, you're one of the best offensive play callers. Like you get us there, but like you know, just that extra little, if you grow in this area, you will, climb the mountaintop. You will get there. It's
Mm,
like, you know, um, like to me, it's not all his fault. Like maybe the play calls were good, but like, you know, it didn't work. And it's like one of those things where in 3 Super Bowls now, you go against the grain of like traditional football strategy, of like,
mm,
hey, you have a lead and your run game is your bread and butter on your team, run out the clock, and then you want to take kill shots, and then all of a sudden the other team gets the ball back, or they don't know the rules in overtime, or what have you. Like, all right, you make a mistake, like, give us something to where we have confidence that it's not going to happen again, or that like,
mm,
you know, you just like accountability goes a long way, I think, you know.
mm,
Um, and so, I think like from there, just to sort of end this topic and bring it back, he made a big mistake that could have been so much worse. He could have killed the 21-year-old. He could have lost his life. He could have been paralyzed. Like this could have been really bad.
mm,
Um, and it was over a cell phone that he dropped, and you know he made the mistake, and he he exceeded what he needed to do. And I feel like it is openly received very positively by everyone, including his
mm,
harshest critics, which a lot of people would say Grant Cohn is like his harshest critic. Like, you know, Grant and his dad were so impressed, with it. I was very impressed while hearing it. I didn't need their opinion of it in order for me to feel impressed, because I was like, damn, you know what? Like, I listened to that whole thing. It was beautiful, and I was like, I felt proud. I'm like, man, this guy's the coach of the 49ers. Like, it was like a sombering moment for me.
mm.
I'm like, you know, it's something that could easily derail the beginning of training camp, but I almost feel like it's like it became a net positive of like, maybe the team sees that and they're like, maybe they feel inspired to join together for their coach, you know?
Yeah.
But
Maybe part of this too is also like this is a very rare occasion where we like really feel for him. We're typically like we don't feel like necessarily bad or emotional for Kyle Shanahan. Like if he loses the Super Bowl, it hasn't been like poor guy, that sucks for him. It's been like you fucking dipshit, you know?
well, okay, but that's part of my point. He doesn't give us that opportunity I
That's what
feel
I
like
no,
no,
yeah, that's
because
what I'm
like,
saying.
all right, literally, it's like, like damn it, like if I could go back, I really feel like I could have called better plays in different moments, but instead,
Yeah, I
it's
Mr.
like
Perfect.
I didn't do anything wrong,
Yeah,
motherfucker. You know,
yeah,
this is exactly why you lost. This is why it'll never change because you don't think you
yeah,
did anything wrong. Stupid. No, just
yeah.
no,
So
but
last thing here, just because I think it's funny, I guess for lack of a better term, um, on this topic, I've been very like pro Shanahan, pro the person, what have you, and I think him getting ahead of this or making this
clearing
public
the
on his
air.
own terms, yeah, clearing the air and making this public on his own terms was very good.
And
Um,
not in a press conference. Literally
right, that
inviting
yes,
everyone into his office.
yeah, but that being said, I think, and I'm not trying to be a dick here. Like I'm on his side and everything. If there were sides, it really isn't. Um, but that being said, I think there had to come a point where he had to do this, or else it was going to come out from somebody else. Because once they start reporting, like the following week or whatever, to training camp as a team, somebody's going to let it out of the bag that, hey, by the way, Shanahan's not here, and it was his name, Chris Forrester, is
Yeah,
the interim head coach. Like we don't know what's going on,
yeah,
uh, and that would look terrible. So, or then it's reported from the media, and everybody's confused, like what the fuck's going on? And so it's good that he did what he did, and not to be a douchebag or anything, but like I think he kind of had to at some point. But the biggest thing above all though is I like that he got ahead of this in large part because if he didn't, then the reporting would be a 21-year-old girl hit him. So the
yeah,
fact that he got ahead of it and said no, 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 that this was my fault. That's the biggest thing
yeah.
above when he had to do it or when he could. That yes, that's a big deal. But all and I'm curious what his condition is.
Yeah.
Like relative to like not having this be on camera or in a press conference. Like I think the concussion probably affects him, but also like how does 40 stitches on Kyle Shanahan's face look? I don't know. We won't know for a while, it seems.
No, he's been spotted at practice. He's wearing sunglasses, and people have seen him in person. And he looks like Kyle Shanahan. You know,
Okay.
he
That's good.
said he like kind of made a joke with the people who were in his office. He's like, guys, I know I have a great plastic surgeon.
Hey,
Um,
good.
so yeah, no, Shanahan, he's been a little bit more involved with practice and whatnot. So little by little. Also, Kenny 49ers tuning in, and also shout out 49er Media in case I didn't say it already. But Kenny 49er says, bro, you guys have enormous balls to just pop on every 3 weeks while we're sitting around waiting for you guys to do shows. I'm so sorry, Kenny. We have been long overdue for a podcast, but we're here tonight for a good time, not a long time. So
I think it's been
we're gonna.
I think it's
It's been
sorry, I think
more
it's
than
been
three
longer than
weeks.
3 weeks.
It's been
Yeah.
longer. This has been our longest episode drought for sure. So, you know, Kenny 49er says, "You're my Raider guys." No, no, no. He is. He is. I just have an open invite to talk shit about the Raiders. Like this is easy. This is easy money. You know what I mean? Like talk shit about the Raiders on camera. What could be better? You know?
Right.
No, I'm just playing. All right. For sure, he's throwing weekend and okay. Yeah. He looks like Tom Cruise in Vanilla. Okay. Are you talking about me with the lighting, or are you talking about Chris Forrester still? Yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to, we talked about the almost tragedy, with Kyle Shanahan. But I guess we can actually talk about, briefly talk about tragedy that did happen, in regards to the 49ers and just sort of, the legacy of the team with Alden Smith, who, passed away at a very young age. Mike, do you know exactly what age he passed away? Was it 36? Is he
I
36 years
think
old?
35, 36 sounds about right. Yeah.
Let me see. How old was Alden Smith? And yeah, we just wanted to briefly talk about it because yeah, he was you know, pronounced dead at the age of 36. And honestly, like, it's just very tragic because, this is a player that Mike and I watched growing up, and, he was. I didn't know Alden Smith personally, but, just from all the reports and everything, and just seemingly the trouble that he would find himself in, he seemed to be, you know, he seemed to need help, you know, and
Hmm.
I personally don't know the exact cause of his death. I'm sure there's still details that are even, yet to come out about it. But I guess what I wanted to talk about was just how he will be remembered in my mind. And when you're growing up watching football players, I really feel, or like, any player of any sport, and you know they're very good, on your favorite team. You kind of look at these guys as superheroes, and Alden Smith was one of those players that I looked at like a superhero. I was like, uh, a 12-year-old, getting into football, and this guy is just so dominant, like one of the most dominant players at at edge that we'd ever seen. Um, and so, you know, like I said, I don't really know Alden Smith the person, but Alden Smith the player, I just kind of I want to thank kind of both simultaneously for serving as that figure for me growing up, you know, and that's what I will remember about Alden Smith. Like I will not forget like the help that it seemed like he needed, um, but I do want to be thankful for what he was able to give, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, I vaguely remember his time with the Raiders, and from what I do remember, um, the timing didn't work out for him, from what I understand. And honestly, uh, I kind of like we had just mentioned. Just a side note, like we had just mentioned, we hadn't been on a pod for probably over a month, probably 2 months at least.
It's been a
It's been a
long time.
while. It's been a while. So, in that span of time, this happened at some point in between. And, a little while after that, like time had passed and, more news came out. And, like, I'm sure for most of you guys watching, like, you haven't been thinking about all this. Not that you haven't been thinking, but, just, for lack of a term, it happened a while ago, him
Yeah.
passing away. Um, but part of the reason why I was like, we should talk about this. What obviously him being a Niner, a fucking and a fantastic player. My God, like he was dominant. But also being a Raider, and I figure both of us have our own perspectives of him as a player and potentially also as a person to some extent, Um, but I literally saw a TikTok or a Instagram video, whatever. There's this guy who used to be a scout for the Raiders, and he tells these stories on his TikToks or whatever. And a lot of them, I think he was a scout for the Raiders when Reggie McKenzie was GM. And he's put out a couple videos and they're always entertaining or whatnot. Um, and he told a story of when they got Alden Smith, and I can't, you know, recite it word for word because literally I probably watched it a month ago now. But it just reminded me of when they signed him and when they had Alden Smith on the team, and I was really excited. And I just figured, you know, shit went down. I don't even remember what the problem was or what negative things, whatever, relating to Alden Smith was going on with the Niners. You know, I don't remember. But, to some degree or another, he was no longer a Niner. He was a free agent. And the nearby team in Oakland ends up signing him. And from what the scout said, I think he had a few other offers, but he wanted to be close to home, I think. Um, and Justin Tuck was a big selling point for him because the Raiders had Justin Tuck at the time. And they maybe they signed him like 2016 or something like that. Like they also had Khalil Mack on the team. Like they had a solid. I don't know what year. Maybe it was 2015. I don't know, but Khalil Mack was also on the team. Like they had a solid rotation there. And when he was on the team, like at first he was coming on slowly, but from what the the scout was saying was like he was doing really well, like within the organization, and he was putting in the work, and you could see it on the field. And I vaguely remember seeing him kind of get better and better and get more snaps as the season went on. Um, and then I think to end the season he got a few sacks and he looked really good. And then at some point there, and he was going to be a free agent because I think they signed him on a 1 year deal. He got suspended for like a hell of a lot of games. It might have been a whole season. He might have got suspended for a whole season, and the Raiders decided to sign him to a 2 year deal anyways. That's how confident they were in him. And from that point on, I don't recall what the fuck happened, but I don't even know if he played again for the Raiders. And that's me not recalling. Like somebody could fact check me, but um, yeah, I obviously, unfortunately, troubled, needed help in you know whatever ways that he needed it, and people go through that in many different ways, um, and it's really it's sad to hear that he passed away at 35, 36, 36. I think he said. Um, Likely having in relation to those troubles. Do I know that for a fact? No, I don't think either of us have seen the cause of
Yeah.
death. But I mean, 36. Like come on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's tragic. Um, just for the person, not even the player. Not
Yeah.
even relating to the Niners or Raiders. Just for the person. He had a bright future ahead of him, especially considering how dominant he was from the jump. Like rookie year, he was on the verge of breaking the sack record that Myles Garrett just broke this past season.
Yeah.
Like that's how dominant he was.
I think like what kind of makes me like sad about it too is there is going to be a lot of people that just like remember the just sort of like the suspensions and sort of the bad stuff. And I'm sure that's not like easy for the family to like have that like be brought up, um, you know, all the time, like as it pertains to his death. But I will say the reaction from everybody was pretty consistent that like he was a beloved player. You know,
Hmm.
like fans loved him. You know, they didn't
Yeah.
they didn't love that he seemed to be struggling, personally. Um, but I think he'll always be remembered as a beloved player.
Yeah.
A dominant beloved player, and can't really speak to the person that he was because I never knew him.
Hmm.
And I think it was sort of before my time of really paying attention to you know post game press conferences and really diving into players off the field. It's kind of like
Hmm.
early social media days. As opposed to like right now, George Kittle. I can't escape him. I open up Instagram Uh, he and his wife are like right there. Kyle Juszczyk and his wife right there. You know, Brock Purdy commercial this. You know, press conference that. Mac Jones dancing. You know, like there's the league doesn't have, or the league has way more exposure now than it did then. So I don't. Um, I never got like a bad vibe from Alden Smith other than like, you know, I think he needed help, uh, and you know would regularly sort of, you know, kind of find a way to set himself back. Um, but like I said, you know, and this is how I want to close it off. You know, thank you, Alden, and you know you will be remembered, you know, by fans for many generations, and you know you'll be missed. All right, are we ready to move on, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we will be moving on to talking about 49ers electrical substation. Uh, yeah, that thing. 49ers have some injuries. In fact, I think it might be quicker if we just name the players who are left standing than the ones who are hurt. It's
Yeah.
not even week one. It's not even the preseason yet. You know, it's about to be. We'll talk about preseason a little bit before we get out of here tonight. But Mike, do you have a list of the players for the Niners who are currently injured? I know it's a long list, and you know maybe reading
Yeah.
isn't your favorite, but
I have part of a list because, from what I understand, you guys like 20% of your roster is just out right now.
yeah,
Um, so this is just from Google when I searched it up earlier. Oh, it's major training camp injuries and statuses. So I think these are maybe more likely key players compared to like all of them, right? But Ricky Pearsall, you know, kind of top of the list with the PCL injury coming back and flaring up, and now they just determine it's time to get surgery. It's like, well, I would be bummed as hell if I was him. And just to be honest with you, dude, from a fantasy perspective, not to take away from this Niners topic, but given that he's going to be out for the year, I can actually talk to you about a player.
yeah.
Like, I still have faith in Ricky Pearsall. Like, when he was drafted, he was one of my guys that year. And I thought of all seasons, this would be the season for him to fucking break out. And not to be a dick, but just from the tendency for Mike Evans is like at some point his hammy is not going to be 100%. And of all teams to go to, he has to go to the team that practices next to the electrical substation. So I'm expecting his hamstrings to fucking explode by week 2. Like, the writing was on the wall for me of like Ricky Pearsall is going to be the true number one in this offense, and Mike Evans will be sort of the security blanket. He'll probably get a lot of touchdowns, but Pearsall is going to be getting the yards. That's what I felt. And Kittle's out right now, at least. It's like, man, Pearsall had all the writing on the wall to, in my opinion, really break out this year, and then his knee comes back and flares up. It's like, dude, that sucks. And that's just one out of 40 names on this list.
You know,
It's not 40, but
one thing about the Ricky Pearsall injury that like I feel like I didn't really think about very very much uh, is sort of, I mean, we always think that every season is brand new. Like every season, every player comes in fully healthy. Um, but like think about it from like a human perspective. Like, what if his knee is never the same? You know, like we were over here thinking, all right, fresh start, you know, to this season. He's all good, but these players, like, this is kind of the reality that deal with behind the scenes. Like they get hurt and then sort of just have to pain tolerate a lot of the time, and then until their bodies can't take it for their, and they have to call it a career. Like
Yeah.
it's actually kind of sad. Like, you know, like I'm sad for Ricky because, other than being drafted in the first round, he's had like an uphill battle his entire career so far. And this PCL injury wasn't even like his fault. Like he was making a great play and his knee smashed like into the ground. And then it's like, all right, well, he got hurt and then he was playing through it last season, and until he couldn't, like he was pushing his body to the limit. And
Hmm.
then based on the information that the doctors gave right then and there, like he didn't need surgery. Um, because like if you're a doctor, why would you recommend surgery to somebody who's like not having any knee flare ups? And then he starts to go full speed at practice and then his knee flares up, and it's like, well, like it's probably best if you get surgery. Like that fucking sucks, dude. It really does.
Yeah.
And so like,
Honestly, sorry, not to make this about the Raiders for a second, but I'm feeling very lucky right now that that's not Brock Bowers,
mm,
because that sounds a lot like the same exact injury that Brock Bowers had last year, week 1, and he was out for like at least 6 weeks. Um, how long was Pearsall out for? Did he keep pushing it like the same the very next week?
dude, he kept. I think he was out for a couple weeks, and then like he was pushing to come back and like play through it. It was, and then
Yeah,
like, he was just kind of getting shit talked about him by fans because he wasn't on the field, and like
yeah,
now it's like, dude, this is like it's not even his fault. Like
yeah.
he's playing football and he got fucking hurt. Like, he got shot. Like, f-
He's never
he's
had
had
a normal season.
he's had horrible luck, I will say.
Yeah.
And you know what other 49er player recently had a PCL injury?
No. Oh, was it Boza?
No, a year before. Okay, so before this past season, Christian McCaffrey, that's what kept him out for the rest of 2024. And
Yeah.
so
Was that the
you don't.
Bills game when he just
Yeah, it
went
was.
down?
It was. Yeah, that was the Bills game, um, where he like, you see like one of the plays before he smacked his knee like, on the ground, on the like ice cold grass, um, and you know you never know. Like these players, like our bodies respond differently to different trauma, and it's just. I'm sorry if this week's show is like a Debbie Downer show, but like, we talked about a near fatal car accident. We talked about, a former player who passed away. Now we're talking about all these players who are dealing with like life changing health, issues. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
tough.
I see Kenny 49ers coming here. Honestly, if I'm able to get the surgery for something, I'm going with the surgery. I'm not gonna mess around and take my chances. Yeah, I'm just curious what the team doctors were seeing. And like you said, if at first it wasn't flaring up and he's pushing to play and stuff, then he finally gets to full speed and it starts flaring up and it's like, well, and that's where I'm curious what the team doctors were thinking and whatnot. Like, what is the tendency there for this injury? Like if it starts flaring up, should they be like, "Ooh, that's a bad sign," or
Yeah,
Henry Ruggs was a couple years ago. Uh,
yeah. Unless that there's another development in his case, but
yeah,
like with choosing surgery versus not choosing surgery. So first, I'd say it's like the doctor recommendation. We don't even know if that was an option that was presented to Ricky because we're not
mm,
like we weren't part of those conversations, so we don't really know. And that's like between the doctor and the player. Um, but I will say personally, if I have an issue that might just heal on its own, I would rather not get surgery and not have to worry about scar tissue and, you know, being in crutches for, a while. It's like I just have to rest and whatnot, and it'll probably, like,
Yeah.
the odds are that I'll be fine.
You
Uh,
literally need physical therapy, and you need to ramp back up after the surgery heals and whatnot. Like that's a long process. Um, yeah, I would prefer not to have to do surgery,
yeah.
but I think what's also key here is like the timing or the timeline. Like, I mean, the Niners were, in a playoff push last year, so it's like, well, if we think he can play and he wants to play, I guess he should play. But it's hindsight 2020 ultimately, It's just it sucks now that it's like, wow, we're not even 2 weeks away from the preseason, and now he has to get surgery. It's like, God, wouldn't that have just been great if he could have done it last November and he'd be ready to go right now, possibly.
hmm Real quick, Kenny 49ers, this is a double edged sword. Because I will say there are arguments in your favor and there are arguments against your favor. He said, now, no. If I have access to the kind of doctors the 49ers provide, I'm doing the surgery every time. Okay. This is the same 49ers health staff that currently has 20% of the roster not practicing because they're so injured. That being said, the 49ers surgeons are probably a lot more experienced than other team surgeons. So, you know, that is the double edged sword, so to speak. The for and against. Uh, let's see. My buddy had really bad teeth joined. Sounds painful. Yeah. Uh, Sorry, he got a job somewhere where they covered his dental, and once he got his teeth fit. Oh, well, yeah, yeah. That's different though. It's different. That's taking advantage of insurance as opposed to doctors. You know, um, that's a conversation for another day. But to get back on topic, Ricky Pearsall, the PCL injury. Uh, Mikhail Kamara had an ACL injury. He's out for the year. Andrew Farmer the second, he's back. His back. William Bradley King, undisclosed injury. Tanner McLaughlin, uh, tight end, undisclosed injury. Derek Forrest, undisclosed injury. Here are some other notable current/practice absences as of August 5th. Nick Bosa, he's got general soreness. Dre Greenlaw, soreness. Osa Digizua, soreness. Kyle Juszczyk, finger fracture. He broke his finger. Jacob Cowing, hip flexor strain. Those are painful, dude. I've had hip flexor problems. Those suck. Carver Willis, concussion. Brett Toth, undisclosed injury. Nick Zakel, shaken up during practice. Sam Okuwanu, shaken up during practice. Apparently a lower leg/ankle issue, and he struggled to put weight on it. And more injuries. Mike Evans, he's got a quad strain. Christian Kirk, his calf. Dejon Stribling, hamstring. He's day to day. Malik Mustafa, he's got a hamstring. Kalon Black, his adductor. Jordan James, he's got a fractured rib. I saw a play, the day that he fractured his rib, and Fred Warner punched the ball very aggressively, and I think might have caught Jordan James on the ribs and fractured his ribs, trying to punch the ball out in a practice that you can't
Oh,
tackle.
That's one way to get your ribs fractured.
Yeah, it might have been that play. Might not have been. Keon White, adductor slash groin, and Vidarian Lowe, high ankle sprain. Um, let's see. Yeah. Uh, to sum it up, we be hurting.
Yeah, even your coach is out.
Yeah. Oh, Kyle Shanahan, concussion,
Concussion, eye
stitches.
laceration.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, I've never seen this before in a preseason in the training camp. Like it's normal. I shouldn't call it normal, but it is normal for training camp. It is totally normal to get the breaking news alert from Adam Schefter's or whatever, and it's Panthers linebacker towards ACL, and it's like, damn, that sucks for him. And then you
Real.
also hear the random. You might get the tweet that like, oh, Raiders, they won't say it like this, but Raiders fifth string tight end, you know, uh, was carted off the practice field today, and then the next day you see that he's reverted to IR or whatever, and it's like, oh shit. Um, but this many injuries is just insane.
Yeah. So one thing I want to note is the 49ers did cut down the trees that were on the side of the practice field. And I feel like every single angle that I see of of practice,
Yeah,
every single time they post a
it's
picture
just
of a
looming.
player, it is looming. Like this is a real video here of the
Yeah,
49ers practice. This is a play. Do you see that in the back? Dude,
yeah.
it's insane. What a catch by Trey Lance. No, but
Mike Evans.
dude, it's
Yeah,
absolutely insane. And then I've been absolutely loving the fun that people are having on social media. And it's like, I've seen a thing where it's like with each injury, I'm gonna make the substation bigger, you know?
yes.
And so
Well, I've seen that there's an account that's just their account is that they are the substation. So like every
yes.
time a player gets hurt, it's like another one, or like
Yes.
nom 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 or something like that.
No, I know. I actually started following that account and it's pretty funny. Oh my god, this is freaking hilarious. Somebody tweeted at them and said, okay, all right. He tweeted 2 days ago, that person, or he or she, Substation tweeted, I'm just here doing my job and everyone is mad at me, right? Somebody responds,
Uh,
yeah, you're fucking up my team, bro. And then
hmm.
this is the response.
I can't read it, but I see it's happy. Oh, they shouldn't have been
They shouldn't have been
practicing.
practicing. Yeah, they shouldn't have been
Uh,
practicing there. That he
uh,
shouldn't have been standing there.
yeah. Oh God.
That's hilarious, dude. No, and then I love whenever Brandon Ayuk gets brought up, he's like, "Mark my words, I had nothing to do with that."
Oh, that's another one I was gonna say. Your head coach is out with an injury, and your star receiver has a brain injury.
He's not ours anymore. Well, he is, but he's yeah.
Well, he's not a commander either. That's for sure.
Hey, get this. That picture that I showed you of the big substation, this one,
Yeah.
he quote tweets it and he says, "Damn, I've been going to the gym, but I didn't know I was that jacked. Must be the lighting."
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's funny. Yeah. But yeah, it's new year. Okay, but you know what it also is too? It's about being the oldest team in the league as well. This is what happens when you're the
Yeah.
oldest team in the league. And this is also what happens when you practice in the very hot Santa Clara sun every day. Players aren't properly hydrated, and will get soft tissue injuries. Um, I'm not a doctor, and maybe they are properly hydrated. We just have the freaking shittiest luck. But all right, how about why don't we take the 49ers and move them back to Santa Clara? I mean, San Francisco, sorry, not Santa Clara. Um, all right, I saw this thing. Grant was talking about it. He got the idea from Bonte Hill on 95.7 The Game. Uh, so Westfield Mall in San Francisco, I think, is closed, and it might be big enough to fit a stadium.
Uh,
Imagine having the 49ers in the heart of downtown if they like demolished Westfield Mall and they like built a stadium there right in downtown, right off of Market.
uh, they better bring some more Lime scooters to fucking San Francisco because you wouldn't be able to drive until 7 p.m. at the earliest on a Sunday.
Mike, this is eight
Like,
Sundays out of the year.
yeah,
It's eight Sundays.
I think locals would want to shoot themselves if they like had to drive somewhere.
But it's not like a residential
Well,
area like that. It's like businesses, it's touristy.
yeah, I mean, given that it's Sundays, it's like it's not that bad, but man, I have a hard time imagining. Like I think Central San Francisco is hard as fuck to imagine them making that work from like an infrastructure, like city infrastructure sort of sense. Um, and I think that's why a lot of stadiums nowadays are typically located like outside of the big city. And then there's like fucking Chicago, who's just like, yeah, let's just go to a different state and still call it Chicago or whatever the hell they're gonna do.
Yeah, but that's an
Um,
issue. That's a problem.
yeah, I
To
mean, it's not ideal. It's not fun. Um,
No, it sucks. It's
yeah,
not that it's like not ideal. It sucks. The Chicago Bears should be in Chicago.
yeah,
The
yeah,
A's should have never left Oakland.
yeah.
You know,
Fuck them.
the Chiefs leaving uh, Kansas City, or no, they're all right. They're in. Where are they going? They're
Are they
leaving.
going to Kansas? Is that confirmed? Or no? I think they're getting a new stadium in the same area.
No, they're not. Where are the Chiefs moving to? Okay. Uh, let's see.
I feel like it's Kansas because currently they're in Missouri.
Okay. God damn it. That's too much reading for right now. Let me ask AI.
I will say when I went to the Pittsburgh Steelers game, and kind of to Kenny's point here about New York, um, in the comments, hot diggity damn, yes sir, Papa
Hey,
J.
Papa
Um,
J.
um, when I went to Pittsburgh to go to a Raider game, week 2, 2023, I think. Um, it's not that everything was shut down, but there definitely were roads that were shut down. Um, and the Steelers stadium isn't necessarily central Pittsburgh. It's like a little bit to the off to the side and right where the 3 points of the river all connect. And it's fucking awesome. It is a fucking awesome football and sports atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed to me, I mean, it's also the weekend, so it's like no shit. But it seemed to me like everybody was walking. Like the best way I could describe it, um, because they have so many bridges in Pittsburgh, and they're so close quarters. Like imagine like the Bay Bridge and the Golden Gate Bridge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine if instead of those bridges being so far away that you can like just barely see the Golden Gate Bridge from the Bay Bridge and vice versa, imagine them being like like the Golden Gate Bridge going to Alcatraz compared to where the Bay Bridge is. If you're on the Bay Bridge, like imagine Golden Gate going from San Francisco, like Coit Tower to fucking Alcatraz, right? When and let's say that the I'm sorry, I'm fucking this up. Imagine that the Steelers Stadium is on the Oakland side of the Bay Bridge, right?
Okay.
If you're standing at the stadium, and like all the bridges would be shorter than like the Bay's bridges, but if you're standing at the stadium at that 3 points of the river and just looking around pre-game, you would see people walking from the Bay or the Golden Gate Bridge to the city to walk onto the next bridge to get to the stadium,
Yeah.
basically. Like people were walking from way over there because they know there's no way in hell they can fucking drive. Like it was just really cool, but everybody seemed like super down with it. And then like all the shops in downtown, like it was like, breakfast and lunch places were open. Everything else was for sure closed. And all it was just people taking in that it's football Sunday, they're out to eat, they're going to watch the game, whether they're going to the game or they're going to watch it somewhere there. Like it was just really cool. It was a great atmosphere, but for sure that city was shut down for football. Like nothing could operate. No way.
Or maybe
Like parts of it could.
people just cared so much about the Steelers playing that they didn't want to do anything else. Dude,
Well,
I'm telling you,
that's definitely a thing too. Yeah,
The
yeah.
Niners in market, oh, that would be a dream. Just take Bart. You just take Bart, get off at like Powell, and just go to the game. Go home on Bart.
Mm.
Easy. 8 to 9 Sundays out of the year. Like worst case scenario, what? All right, they get 9 home games. They get 2 preseason games, so that's 11. 9,
The
11.
playoffs.
No. And then they host what? They wouldn't host 3 playoff games. They would only host 2. And maybe a Super Bowl.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it'd be interesting.
It's 14
I
weeks
I could just see,
at
I
worst.
can just see the nightmare of like, let's take the family to San Francisco, and they just aren't paying attention to the fact that the Niners are playing in downtown at 1 o'clock, and they're leaving to go there at like 12 noon. They wouldn't get there till fucking 4 o'clock if like this were the case, Um, and Godspeed getting out of there.
Okay, but
Like,
who wants to even drive and park in San Francisco as it is? Who wants to do that?
yeah, well, let's say you live in, I almost, I mean, we've said where we live before, but let's say you live in Oakland or near Oakland, and you want to go to the city.
Yeah.
Um, you could BART there if you're down to walk. I guess it just depends on what you want to do. Um, I don't know.
Dude,
It's a whole
you
other
BART
topic.
there and
Just
you take Muni. It's not that bad. Or you take Uber
yeah,
if you want to expedite it. Like it's
yeah,
fine. Toll costs like $10 anyway. And gas?
yeah, yeah. I mean, right now, yeah, you have all the reasons in the world not to drive. And then if you realize and if you're paying attention that there's a game today, do not drive. So I mean, is it doable? Sure, but I I figured that city with the traffic that it gets, like
Okay,
they had it. They had it with Candlestick. They should just go
how
back to Candlestick.
how about not having a massive parking lot, right?
Well, that's like the Raiders. Yeah,
You
they don't have
force
really a
you
parking
force
lot.
people you force people to park elsewhere so it's not so congested in one area. You
Yeah,
park somewhere and then you walk.
yeah, and that's what's nice about Vegas is that it makes sense to Uber because everything's on the strip, and the Raider Stadium's like at the end of the strip. Um, and you could pull it off in San Francisco, especially if you're in a hotel and you're staying for the weekend in San Francisco. It's like, yeah, you're gonna Uber. But if you live in San Jose or Livermore or Brentwood or whatever, and you want to go, or Manteca, like if you're driving from all the way out in the valley, you want to go to the Niner game, you could figure your way to taking a train and then all that, but you got to like plan that accordingly. You know, I don't know. There comes a point where driving is just, more simple and not efficient, but easy, I guess. And if it's like just hours of traffic, then there comes a point where it's not worth it.
Yeah. Lack Knight LV says you guys know that they've been having their practices there since the 80s, right? Yeah, but from my understanding, the substation wasn't what it is now. You know,
So,
also they used to
what?
practice in Rockland. They used to have training camp in Rockland.
No, I'm laughing at Kenny's most recent comment. That shit's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, Guys, I want to let you in a little. Where Candlestick is now, we cannot build anything because that is where Wonder Woman parks her invisible plane. I mean, Candlestick Point. I mean, didn't they start construction like recently on what they wanted to do there originally? Hell, hey, you know what? Tear down the Coliseum, rebuild a state of the art football stadium, have the San Francisco 49ers be out of Oakland. It would be closer than Santa Clara. Do it. People could BART
I'll
there,
do
and it would be awesome.
I'll do you one better. They should just take the electrical substation and move it to Candlestick, and then everybody wins.
Okay, all right. Um, but yeah, okay.
Anyways, what's our next topic?
Yeah, let's go ahead and go on our next topic. But hold on. Oh my god. All right, so real quick before we go on our next topic, uh, I asked Grok, the Twitter AI, like what it would think, um, and I said, would this was my question: would moving the 49ers to Westfield Mall be a traffic nightmare, or would it be a cool idea since it only affects a few weekends? And it said, it
It
thought
just
for
says, "Are you
23
smoking
seconds.
dick?"
Yeah, no. Okay. Like these are the things that it says. It would mostly be a traffic nightmare, not a cool low impact idea, even if limited to weekends. So, all right, I'm gonna skip that description because we're running out of time here. But literally the like the biggest bullet thing in the biggest font, it says why traffic would suck hard. and and it says downtown SF site. The main one people joke about, Market Street slash Soma, is already congested. An NFL crowd, 60,000 on top of existing BART slash Muni traffic, tourist residents, and limited parking garages would create major gridlock on surrounding streets, and the freeways feeding into the city and transit, event day road closures, security, and egress after the game would amplify it for hours. Even big events or protests there would cause notable disruption. Scaling the stadium size for multiple weekends wouldn't just be a few weekends of inconvenience. Well, fuck you. AI is stupid anyway. I think it's cool.
In response to Kenny's comments about the substation and everything, um, this whole time I haven't necessarily thought that the substation is why this is happening.
Oh shit.
Excuse me, damn it. It's a little past our bedtime, I think.
Yeah.
Although it is an interesting theory, my guess would be this is more of a, because this has been going on for a while with this team. I think it's a training staff. What's it called? The strength team.
Strength and conditioning.
Strength and conditioning. Yeah, I think this is more a strength and conditioning issue than anything else. But if there's even a small effect that this substation is having, then yikes. But I remember when it started becoming the room, or not rumor, but theory and shit. Uh, they had John Lynch like go out there and basically say like, well, we looked into it and we talked to professionals and stuff, and like I'd have to imagine they would do that before setting up shop there, But then again, who knows?
But they literally said this offseason they were gonna look at places that they could possibly move to. You know, I'm pretty sure they said, I have a feeling it has to do with, if not the substation, then it's about people bitching about the substation. Like,
Right. Or it could just be like what's the term for like making something happen when you think about it too much?
like a hoax.
Well, no, like not
Oh,
projection,
placebo effect.
sort of. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Or like being worried too much about something and then that thing happens.
Yeah. Speaking of being worried too much about something and something happening, let's go ahead and talk about Deebo Samuel returning, because this is something that I feel like a while ago. All right, 2 years ago when Deebo Samuel left the team, I was happy. I felt like Deebo Samuel had run his course with the 49ers. But I am here to say that my opinion has changed, not because they made the move, but you can look at my Twitter. Debo posted a picture of him working out, and he actually looked like he was in shape. And I tweeted something along the lines of, if it is true that Debo Samuel is in great shape, the 49ers should give him a call. And guess what? Everything I've seen about Debo so far, him in practice, I mean, the 49ers signed him to a 1-year deal, $7 million, like, up to $7 million, prove it deal. I fucking love it. I love it. I didn't like that he, went off on Jake Moody and, freaking laid hands on a teammate. I did not like that, for damn sure.
Yeah.
That being said, neither of those players are on the team anymore. This doesn't mean that Debo has to be a captain again. But my biggest issue was Debo was getting paid so much money and he wasn't regularly in shape. Now he's not being paid that much money and he seems to be in shape and he's on a prove it deal. I love the move. Especially after Ricky went down. So I don't know. What do you think, Mike?
Did you see the most recent ESPN notification? It just came across my screen like 2 minutes ago. You were speaking.
What? Deebo Samuel just...
Yeah, it says Deebo Samuel out for the season with a torn ACL.
No, what is it? What is it?
I'm joking. I was just gonna make a Deebo just got hurt joke because you guys are fucking miserable with injuries right now. It's actually the Aaron Donald working out. This is from 2:10 p.m. I was joking that nothing happened right now.
Oh, okay.
Don't get FOMO.
No, the news. Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk.
Suicide.
No. No. Oh God, that's awful.
Yeah, sorry. Well, just because the Commanders signed Diggs, and he's probably like, he has a tattoo of the Commanders logo on his fucking arm. Like what? I don't know.
Hey, Brandon Ayuk upset about Stephon Diggs, signing with the Commanders. That now Brandon Ayuk is mad at the Commanders, wants to come back to the 49ers, and is willing to fist fight the electrical substation to prove his loyalty to the team. How about that? Put that on a headline.
Or he could just get with Cardi B or something like that. Make it obvious like he's mad. What do I think about Debo? I think this is interesting. Although the signing came like mere minutes or hours before the announcement that Pearsall was out for the season, if not just after, one of the two. I feel like it was right before. And like it was like, oh, writing's on the wall, like Pearsall's probably done.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't feel to me like a Pearsall replacement. Like they're not the same archetype,
No. but I like what he
I don't
adds to
know.
the
I
room. Because, like, not to cut you off, but, like, all right, you want to round up the wide receiver core, and I feel like Mike Evans is like the red zone threat. Debo could be like the more physical gadget guy, and then Stribling can be like the middle tier receiver, and Christian Kirk can be the depth. Like I like what they built, I really do.
yeah. Um. Yeah. Ayuk's just slowly transforming into the Riddler right now, and he's hanging out with like Killer Croc and Scarecrow and the Joker. Um. Yeah. No. The guy that I'm forgetting about, or that I've been forgetting about this offseason for the Niners is Dejon Stribling.
Yeah,
Um. Because it
he,
feels like you guys are down like literally. I think you are literally down like five receivers right now. And maybe actually Stribling might have tweaked something recently,
yeah,
right?
no, he's day to day.
Yeah, but he's not. Yeah, he's not like fucking any of these other 30 guys that are like out for the season. Um, but there's been a lot of positive talk about him and the way that he's been showing out at camp. Um, I could see Stribling being more of the Pearsall role in the sense that if Mike Evans is the X and Debo's probably the Z, right? I'm bad with these, but I believe that would make Pearsall slash Stribling possibly the
Okay,
Y.
okay, no. Mike Evans is the X, Stribling would be the Y, and Debo would be the Z.
That's exactly what I said. Thank you.
No,
Uh,
no.
but I think where I am confused actually is where Stribling fits in to that role,
no.
and specifically
Or Debo
assuming
could
that
be the Y.
Pearsall's, yeah, possibly. They probably alternate, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I was just curious where Stribling would fit relative to Pearsall being healthy. But now Pearsall's out of it, so it's like, well, now you're considering it with Debo, and you probably are mix matching and shit. Um, Point being, I'm just curious how that all comes out, but for Stribling especially. But I don't know. I'm a bit uninspired with Debo. I think obviously his prime is behind him, but I think it's steeper than that. I don't think he has much left in him. Uh, Maybe I'm terribly wrong, but like he didn't seem too exciting on the Commanders.
Hey, Papa J's got the real order. He said, no, Debo is the Z, Stribling is the Y, and Mike Evans is the X.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're right.
Okay.
You are
Okay.
right.
Hold on. Actually, I think Stribling is the Y, Debo's the Z, and Evans is the X.
Yeah. Yeah. I
No.
like that.
No. Hey,
Um,
all right, real quick. Ayuk, if he were a Batman villain, you know who he would be? I've got two villains on my mind.
uh, okay, well, Two-Face or
No, he's just one face now. There's no like yeah.
um, damn. I mean, the Joker's kind of obvious because he's like going on social media
Nope.
and like doing this weird shit,
Nope.
but it is a little bit like it's cryptic, so maybe the Riddler.
Nope.
But
I've got
if I
two
had
in
to
mind.
go deep cut, oh man.
It's not so deep cut.
Okay, so I'm just like totally missing out on somebody then.
I'll tell you because
It's
we don't
not
have time.
Bane.
No, Ayuk is the Mad Hatter because
Okay.
nothing makes sense. It's all kind of
Yeah.
it's all kind of
It's all
like
cryptic and yeah,
wacky. Um, but
and he's
I
not being taken seriously at all.
yeah, and then I was like, you know what? No, Ayuk is lamer than that. Ayuk is calendar man.
Yeah, he's the condiment king at this point. He's going to be selling fucking ketchup and mustard by the end of this season. He's going to be in the
Condiment
stands.
king.
Yeah, he's going to be in the stands fucking selling burgers and hot dogs
Yeah.
if he's lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. Freaking. I'm over here trying to think of like a villain, like, let's go Spider-Man. Like, Norman Osborn. You know how he owned Oscorp?
Yeah.
All right. I want you to just picture a scene where he's there. And now imagine
At
a
Oscorp.
janitor. Now imagine a janitor in the back. That's Brandon Ayuk.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, yeah.
Okay. Back to Debo Samuel. I'm stoked. You're not. Finish up your thoughts. Why not?
Sorry, I just wanted to make an electro joke about the electrical substation, but it's all right. I don't know. I'm just the whole all these injuries and whatnot with the Niners is just making me really intrigued with how this season is shaping up to be shitty for you guys. Not to be a Debbie Downer again, but like if you guys keep this up, like these injuries, you know, it's hard to imagine you guys being able to succeed throughout the season.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not me wanting that. It's actually more fun, I think, when you guys are pretty good. And to your point, this team being as old as it is not helpful for all this. Meanwhile, a lot of these injuries aren't even your oldest players, you know? Like, the unfortunate truth is it can get worse, and it doesn't feel like it should be able to get worse. But we also saw them persevere through some terrible injury luck last year, where quite a few of your stars were out. Um, and right now, those stars or your stars in general are either coming back from those injuries or healthy right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, although it feels like you guys are getting just railed with injuries, you still have the key players on this roster, that are relatively healthy. So we'll see how it goes. It's just I don't know. I know that was a Debo topic, and I don't have that much to say about Debo. Like design targets and otherwise, designing. God damn it! I was gonna make like a fat joke. Like designing.
But he's not
soup.
fat right now. That's what has me excited. That's what genuinely I wanted him off the team 2 years ago. He was out of shape. He looks in shape now. 1 year prove it deal. Love it. Not a massive extension. Not getting paid, all the most money. Also, I want to welcome Vinny Holtz to the stream. We are a 49er and Raider podcast, as you have, figured out already. But yeah, I see this as a net positive, Mike. Personally, we'll see.
Yeah,
How it plays out.
I don't blame you. I'm not saying that it's going to end out terribly. I guess I'm just not inspired by it. Like, I think I would have been more intrigued by somebody who hasn't been here before, but I totally understand bringing in a guy who knows the system. That makes a lot of sense. But, like, I would have been pretty intrigued if they got Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs is probably older than Debo, if not the same age. It just would have been something a little different.
I'd rather have Debo, honestly.
I guess it depends on what you're going for. Like, Diggs was pretty damn reliable last year for the Patriots, but...
I will say Diggs is a better route runner, but I feel like, Christian Kirk isn't horrible, if they need a route runner. They still have Demarcus Robinson. Stribling has been looking pretty good in camp. And Mike Evans is going to play X. So, I mean, when he is on the field and doesn't suffer like a 5 week long hamstring injury. So, yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the 2026 49ers preseason preview. Mike, would you care to let the audience know who the 49ers will be playing this upcoming week?
let's check it out. What is super awesome now, if I go to the ESPN app and look at scores, I can see the Raiders' upcoming game for next week, which I
Yep.
have not been able to do for a long time, and it's refreshing.
I'm
So
I'm going to
now,
go
if I
ahead
go to the
and update
NFL,
everybody. This upcoming Thursday, not tomorrow, but the 13th. I know I asked you the question, but because I thought you had it right then and there. Building up
sorry, I didn't.
excitement, like you blew it.
My
You blew
bad.
it.
Yeah.
All right. The 49ers will be playing the Tennessee Titans, and they will be shutting down Great America because they will be playing at Levi Stadium. Sala versus Shanahan. Well, if Kyle even coaches, he might not even be able to, come to think of it. Um, what I'm going to be really looking for, not just in this preseason game, because I really don't feel like the preseason is uh, significant enough to really appreciate the outcome of any of the games. Um, but I mean, there's going to be battles for the backup linebacker positions. I'm definitely interested to see what happens with Luke Gifford or if Jaden Duggar is going to make the team. Um, I want to see how the running back depth chart, sort of plays out because they brought in Khalil Herbert, which we didn't even talk about until now. Um, Kalen Black is dealing with an injury. Jordan James dealing with an injury. Everybody dealing with an injury. And then I want to see who ends up being the safety rotation this year, and how the defensive line rotations kind of look and how their depth kind of shapes out. I think that'll be good for me to sort of see kind of going in, and I want to see how the tight end depth looks. I'd say every other position on the team, I'm kind of certain how it's going to play out, but that's what I'm going to be looking for. Mike, is there anything in particular that you're kind of going into the preseason on the Niners side of the football that you're interested in finding out?
Well, paired with that Debo conversation, I'm curious to see how the receivers kind of play out. Like, we know what to expect with Mike Evans, and that'll be very exciting to see. Um, just as an NFL fan, the dude's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
If we're being honest. um, and then Debo being back is certainly interesting. And then you have the 33rd overall pick and DeJon Stribling, who at that time of the year when the draft was the biggest thing going on, that was a very very infamous pick. In that a lot of people felt that was a reach, but then you get a lot of reporting after the fact of there were quite a few teams that may have been really really high on him, perhaps as high to say that he was their number one receiver on the board, which I'd have to count how many receivers went before him, but interesting. Um, I'm just looking at the depth chart for the Niners. I'm excited to see Mac Jones.
I love Mac Jones.
Uh, that dude has had an amazing offseason. And again, full circle back to the Shanahan topic and
Personality wise.
players. Yeah, personality wise, this dude is. Uh, if you watch the videos of Mac Jones, how can you not be a fan of this dude? This dude's fucking hilarious. Um,
I've
you
thoroughly
got O's.
enjoyed Mac Jones's tenure with the team. He's one of my
Yeah,
favorites.
yeah, he's immediately one of the guys. It's great. You got Osa, uh, Odigizua. Hopefully, I said that right.
Yep.
In the trade from the Cowboys, and you also have Dre Greenlaw back.
Yep.
And I don't expect to see really any of these guys next week, but it'll be interesting to see how this looks. Um, I would say a notable. I know we already talked about the injuries, but a notable injury that is one of those big name guys from last year who's still coming back from the injury is Michael Williams.
Mm-hmm.
The first round edge defender from last year. Um, we're a month away from the season starting, and he's still, I believe, on the pup list. Um,
Yeah.
we you would like to see him get out there pretty soon here. Um, I didn't know that you guys got Ashton Davis. Interesting. I would say your safeties might be the most interesting to me because Jair Brown has been having some struggles, especially last year, right? Jair
Yeah.
Brown.
Yeah.
And then Malik Mustafa, forgive me for not remembering. Are we feeling good about him, or was he kind of like overrated last year as well? Like, what's
He
going
had
on
a
there?
he had a good rookie season, but then like had knee surgery. Um, Came back from the knee surgery and like regressed a little bit, but I think it might be, sort of chalked up to like not really having a full off season to prepare. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
I'll
so
say. Oh, good.
yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. Like this is a very big year, I'd say, for Mustafa to like really prove it.
Yeah, probably really a lot of their defensive backs. I'd say if I had to say one position group that I'm like I want to see how they do, it's your defensive backs. You got Jair Brown, Malik Mustafa as the starting safety as of right now. Ashton Davis, who I'm sure was a free agent signing this year. Marquez Siegel, was he a draft pick? Let me see.
The previous year, yeah,
Okay, I don't know much about him. Sorry. But you got Renardo Green, who was what, like the second or third
second
round pick
round
last
pick.
year?
Uh, it might have been
Obviously,
the year before
Lenore.
that.
Holy shit. Okay. So I remembered you guys had signed Nate Hobbs,
Yeah,
and I noticed him just now, or I had already noticed him, and was like, okay, I was going to talk about Nate Hobbs. I just noticed Jack Jones. I forgot that you guys signed Jack Jones. Like, you guys have an interesting defensive backfield.
yeah.
Um,
One thing I didn't note is it'll be interesting to see Raheem Morris's defense and just kind of how they line up.
yeah, true. New coordinator. Um, yeah. Upton Stout is the nickel corner. So I'm curious
He's
to
good.
see Nate Hobbs. Yes, he's very good. And Nate Hobbs was a nickel corner for the Raiders back when he was healthy and playing. Um, but I know he can play on the boundary, so I'm curious to see Nate Hobbs this preseason playing on the boundary. He'll
Yeah,
probably get put on the nickel as well, just because Upton Stout's not going to be playing much in the preseason. Um, I'm curious to see if Nate Hobbs can stay healthy on this fucking team and
yeah,
prove that he should be on this team. Which, if he plays to his potential, he will be worth keeping.
yeah. I'm
So,
also interested to see how good Jacorian Bennett and Gary on Conley do.
I wasn't paying attention when you said Jacorian Bennett, and then you said Gary on Conley, and you sparked a fucking a lot of memories.
Yep.
Can't wait to see Namdi Asamo. Oh no, he was a Niner. That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
God, the classic Namdi.
Yep.
Speaking of corners, I'm wearing a Charles Woodson shirt.
He did play for the Niners. He played for the damn Packers.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. Let's talk about the let's talk about the Raiders preseason. Are we ready to move on? Right.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and wrap this show up. What are you looking for, personally, as a fan?
Well, I have been so out of football, and really all I've been focusing on the past month plus has just been like very sporadic fantasy football prep. So I've just been thinking about offensive players on all teams, not just the Raiders. Um, so I'm not even gonna lie, and also not doing this podcast for literally probably 2 months. Um, like the hype and the expectations and everything in between towards Raiders football just kind of faded to the back of my mind for the past ever since free agency you know took form, right?
That's
Because
how you know
again,
it's going to be the best season ever.
there are no expectations, dude. There are no expectations right now, and the only way they can go is up. Like this season's going to be awesome. Oh, yeah. All right. Why did I say that out loud? I don't know. As a Raider fan, because it gets worse. It does.
The only way
Our
they can
coach,
go is up. And then
yeah.
20 years
Breaking
later,
news.
it's
Clay
never been
Kubiak.
this bad. It's
Yeah.
every year.
Yeah.
Every year, dude. It's, well, it can only get better from here. Every year. Josh McDaniels, Antonio Pierce,
Yeah.
freaking Pete Carroll, Pete Carroll's son. Oh, God.
Yeah. I
Fire
mean,
them all.
but dude, seriously, Pete Carroll's son was so bad last year. Like, I am convinced, like, it doesn't get worse than that. Um, at least on the offensive line. So, I guess all that to be said, like, training camp just came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah.
Um, and all of a sudden, I might get the occasional Fernando Mendoza throwing a pass video, and it's like, oh shit, like, it's it's here, you know. And then I look at the schedule or whatnot. It's like, holy shit, they're playing a game in 2 weeks. Okay.
Is Tommy
Um,
Millott still on the Raiders?
no, they like cut him that year.
Oh.
He's probably not anywhere. He might be deep on some rosters, quarterback or wide receiver depth chart, but I kind of doubt it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, but to answer your question of like what I'm looking forward to and whatnot, like obviously number one is Mendoza. I can't wait to see Mendoza play not legitimate snaps, but snaps in a Raiders uniform against an opposing defense. You know, um, I'm very curious to see how he looks, uh, and I guess judge his first start or whatever you want to call it, his first bit of snaps in an NFL atmosphere. Because he's gonna be going up against second and third stringers. Like it's not the same as the regular season by any
Yeah.
means, but still, I remember Derek Carr going into the preseason, and I also remember paying a lot more attention to seeing all the rumors of like, oh, Derek Carr looks great, blah blah blah, and then fucking preseason he was doing pretty damn good, and Shaw was just looking man. He'd get like one drive, and then Carr would get like the whole fucking first half.
I
Um,
guess I guess like personally, I'm excited to see the atmosphere, you know, for Mendoza when he first gets in the game and completes his first pass. Like, I feel like Raider fans are going to be ecstatic and like it's going to probably feel like a playoff game. Like for like the first drive
damn.
when Mendoza's in, or every time he gets on the field cuz this is like the first time in 20 years that the Raiders have, really gotten the quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be a home game Thursday night, 5 p.m. I'd love to go to that game, man. I was telling my dad at dinner tonight. I was like, because we plan on going to the Dolphins game week one. I was like, man, if we weren't going to the game week one, and like if they were playing the Dolphins like week fucking 9 or 10, I would say we should go to the Niners preseason game in week three because fuck, but I don't know. I when it was 4 weeks of preseason, you knew exactly how it was gonna go. It was like week one. the starters get one drive max, and the rookies get like two drives max. Week 2, they play maybe a quarter, maybe. Week 3, they might go until halftime of the preseason.
Yeah.
Now when it's only 3 games, it's like, well, I don't know if teams are going to use that third game exclusively, and I think this is a thing, as it's your last chance, bottom barrel of the team to make a case to make the roster, and we're not going to start our starters at all. Like, I'm curious, not to jump ahead too far, but 3 weeks from or 4 weeks from now, when the Raiders and Niners play in Vegas, Week 3, final game of the preseason for them, will the Raiders play Mendoza? I would assume he'll start that game, but because it's like you know, oh, the guys that aren't going to make this team are going to be playing in this game. I guess my point is just, if I were to go to a preseason game, I want to go to the one that's going to have the most snaps for Mendoza. I don't know which game that's going to be. It's probably going to be the Texans game, which is away. So anyway, it would be cool to go to a game because I don't know when Mendoza is going to play after the preseason. It sure sounds to me like it's going to be Kirk Cousins, and there's like not much doubt about that. And it's going to be funny as fuck, or annoying as fuck actually, when it's announced officially, you know, the Sunday, the week before the NFL football regular season starts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the announcement comes out, from Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport. Clint Kubiak has announced that Kirk Cousins is the Raiders' Week 1 starter. And people are going to comment saying, oh, that's not good. Oh, that's a bad sign. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, Mendoza's not doing too good. And it's like, this is the plan. They've made it it's so obvious this is the plan since they drafted him. And I'm
You
freaking
would
out
have
about
heard
something that
by
doesn't mean.
now. You would have heard by now if Mendoza wasn't doing well. It would be
Yes.
major news by now if he wasn't doing
Yes.
well. The fact that you're
All I've
not
heard.
hearing anything is good, because if you start hearing, oh, Mendoza's looking so sharp, like, it's like, who's fucking publicist? Why is Mendoza's publicist like trying to, push this shit? They're I haven't heard shit about it, which I think
Yeah.
is good.
Yeah. I've only heard positive things, but it's not like overbearing,
Yeah.
you know? It's not like everybody's freaking out about how good he looks and it's like too positive or whatever. Or certain reporters are saying positive things, nobody else is saying shit. Like, it's just like, literally all I've seen is Albert Breer was at Raiders training camp and he was like, "This guy's killing it. He's looking legit." Blah 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 blah. Like, not like he's a world beater or anything, but just like he looks like a guy who is up for the task, basically. And this is a long-winded thing, just talking about Mendoza, and it's really not what I intended to do. But it's the preseason, and they're coming off of drafting him first overall. Like, of course, this is the big topic, and it's the thing I'm most excited to see. Um, I appreciate that. Fuck, I was listening to. I think it was Max Crosby. Max Crosby was like on a podcast or something, and I just saw a clip on like TikTok or whatever. And somebody asked him like, what are his thoughts on Mendoza and how's he doing or whatever. And he was just saying like he's one of the guys and he's really done a good job so far, and all the positive things he could say. But he's made sure to note that they also brought in Kirk Cousins, who is a veteran, and he's going to help with that development and whatnot. And you know it was clear to Max Crosby that Kirk Cousins is likely going to be the starter. Um, and Mendoza is earning his role. I think that's the key point. Is Mendoza is here with not the expectation that he's going to be the guy day one, and that kind of being forced onto him. It is he has to earn it, and he not only earning that starting job, but also earning like the respect of his peers because he has all the accolades. And I think that was the other thing that Max Crosby's point was like he has all the accolades in the world for a guy coming in to his first season as a rookie, and he doesn't act like that. He doesn't act like he's hot shit. He's just one of the guys, and he's out there earning his job. Like that's what Mendoza has been, and again, and I think what I take from that, other than all that being said, I appreciate that. I think the Raiders, but also very much Mendoza as a person, as a human himself, have put him in a position to where he doesn't need to force it. He doesn't need to go in there and win over the whole team day one and show them, I'm your leader. I'm here to lead as a fucking rookie, as a kid. He's a kid, practically. I like that he's coming in, and the expectation is you're the first overall pick. You're going to be given your shot. I guess probably whether you earn it or not, but we're going to make you earn it. And I think paired with that, or what comes with that, is earning the respect of his team. And if he earns that job the right way, and he goes out there on the field and he plays in a respectable way, he's going to have earned his team's respect. And that's going to go a long fucking way as a franchise quarterback. Rather than being forced in day one and acting like you're the guy and you're the savior or whatever. I'm the leader of the team now. Like, can you imagine Mendoza coming in day one with Max Crosby on the roster and being like, I don't know, just like publicly coming off like I'm the guy? That doesn't make sense. It makes sense that he has to earn that, and I appreciate that from the franchise's standpoint down to Mendoza the person as a player.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I think that's very well put, Mike. We are running out of time here tonight.
Yes.
For the podcast,
I'll mention.
But you are absolutely getting love in the comments right now. Kenny 49ers and Papa J. I don't know if they're playing a mind trick because they know you're a Raider fan and that you like, to be sort of talked all sweet, But I don't know what's going on here.
Amen. Yeah, to Vinny's point, Mike loves the Raiders, born into it with no championships, seen it with his eyes. Yeah, I could go on a whole tangent about how, yeah, true. You've seen some Super Bowls, but unfortunately not wins, right? But I haven't seen playoffs. Well, I've seen playoffs, but I have not seen a playoff win. I have not seen my team go to the playoffs and feel like confident that they could win a playoff game.
Well, let me tell you, it feels really good to win a playoff game. When your team wins a playoff game. So like, all right, imagine. This is how I would compare it. The feeling when you take like a really nice dump, That's what it feels like to win a playoff game. Like, it's so relieving, like you don't know exactly how it's going to go before it comes out. And then it comes out and it's just like, wow, actually, I feel so relieved, I would even say it felt good. And then losing the Super Bowl is like multiplying the dump by 4, but sending it in reverse.
I imagine you are correct. And then it comes out of your mouth, like within the same half second.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you did it in front of like all of your peers, and you're just embarrassed.
Yeah, and everybody saw it. Like, yeah. It's like it goes up by 4 times, like not just lengthwise, but like it's just 4 times bigger, and like Oh wow, everybody's looking, huh? Oh.
Yeah. I'm having a medical emergency and they think it's funny.
Yeah.
um, I guess I will uh, key in on oh, the point I was making. Josh loves dumping.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does. What I something I was saying uh to Vinny's point, born into it, no championships. And like for me, like even like I've had no Super Bowl aspirations other than 2016, and even then I was like, this is like out of nowhere. Like I don't think we're winning the Super Bowl. Our defense is not that good. And then Derek Carr got hurt, and all that was taken right out from under me, right? Um, like I've just never had Super Bowl aspirations as a fan of a team, and to me that's crazy. But part of what makes me such a big fan, I think, is that oddly, as annoying as it is to be in consistent fucking purgatory, hopefully until getting Mendoza and Kubiak and Spytek. I like Spytek. Even though purgatory, as a fan of a franchise, sucks, four giant shits. Um, the struggle also is entertaining, and watching the team restart and rebuild and watching a team, not necessarily tear itself apart, but get back into the groove of building itself up. That is something that is enjoyable. It's
Dude.
just, it makes me want to gouge my eyes out when they build it up and then they fail and they suck and then they tear it down again. I want to see them build it up and then become the Chiefs. I want to see them become the Eagles. You know, I'm tired of them being the Raiders, literally. I
Yeah.
want to see them become something. I have said many times in this podcast, uh, continuity.
Yeah. Instead, to keep the poop analogy and to use the C word, as a Raider fan, you have been constipated for 20 years.
Yeah. My only
Yeah.
continuity is that they have sucked.
Yeah. Hey, Papa J, turd talk is, what's wrong with turd talk? Um, and then Vinny Holtz, I know you asked Mike this question. I'm going to answer it very quickly. The answer is no. Will the Raiders defense be good this year? I'm going to go ahead and say not likely.
Yeah, they have a new coordinator in their former defense line coach. Fuck, I'm forgetting his name. He seems cool. I like him. I'm
Uh,
curious to see how their corners play out, and I'm curious to see how much of an upgrade the linebackers are, and I'm curious to see how their defensive tackles play out.
yeah. Real quick, also, Vinny Holtz says that's true. Uh, watching it rebuild is a high, and right now, every Raider fan is Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, I mean, this off season has been fantastic for this franchise. Absolutely out of this world. Probably the best. I think I've already said this. I think this is the best off season I have witnessed as a Raider fan. Um, and I'm looking at this roster right now, and I do this every fucking year, so it's already a bad sign. But I'm
Yeah,
like, not bad. Like compared to considering what the Raiders were last year, I look at this roster and I'm like, I see some wins in their future. Do I see them making the playoffs? Fuck no. I'm not that delusional, but I see this team winning some games. Not having a winning record necessarily, but having the capability to win games for sure. I could see this team being one of those like scrappy teams that's just like in a lot of their games, you know?
yeah,
Um, Especially if their offensive line stays healthy, dude. Especially if they stay healthy. Uh, but like I just said, like with the defense, their defensive tackles bother me, and you have Eric Stokes, who was amazing last year as their top corner, and then it's a bunch of first and second year guys.
Mm-hmm.
Which to finish out this topic of the Raiders, preseason kind of uh, primer, whatnot. Uh, damn, I'm not even seeing him. Oh, Hezekiah Massis, fifth round rookie out of Cal. He's getting the most hype out of camp from the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he very well might have a shot at actually starting opposite Eric Stokes. Um, and then there's of course Jermon McCoy, fourth round pick, who was rated as high as a top 12 rated player in this draft class. Um, I haven't really heard anything about him, but that's coming from a guy who hasn't heard very much at all.
Mm-hmm.
I've been so out of the loop. I've been focusing, I shouldn't say this to Josh, but I've been focusing solely on fantasy football the past month. And that's on a
Oh,
daily
you have.
thing. Yes, but not on a daily basis. Yeah, I need my get back. Um, Not on a daily basis, but just like with the time that I have, I don't have time to just like, you know, fantasize about the Raiders. I need to figure out my fantasy football strategy and whatnot and who I like, who I don't like. Um, when the Raiders are on the TV, I will be watching. Um, Otherwise, I think maybe part again with all the struggle and everything, like the conversation with Vinny's point and whatnot of I enjoy the struggle to an extent. I'm also tired of the struggle, and I'm ready for
Mm-hmm.
this team to build up and become again that Chiefs or Eagles or just Super Bowl contending team. So I think now that life is getting busier as an adult, I don't have time to fantasize and wonder who is breaking out at training camp and how does fucking Trey Tucker look? Like I don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
No offense to anybody. I'd
Yeah.
rather just see it. I'd rather see it play out. And like
Yeah.
Jack Besh is a guy that I'm rooting heavily for. I haven't heard shit. In fact, if anything, I've heard negative things because there's guys like Malik Benson, our sixth round pick, who's apparently flashing, and it's like, why can't it be Besh, second round pick from last year? Oh, I know why. Because Pete Carroll drafted him.
Yeah. And Mike,
Yep.
it's about to be midnight.
Let's get
You
out of
you
here.
kind of hit the head on the nail.
Yep.
Uh, you hit the head of the nail a couple minutes ago when you said you're tired of losing. Let's do ourselves a favor. We live to stream another day. Uh, Last thing for I wrap things up is Sam Darnold versus Purdy. This is all I'll say right now. Sam Darnold is not the reason that the Seahawks won the Super Bowl,
Clint
and
Kubiak
also
is.
Brock Purdy is not the reason that the 49ers lost the Super Bowl. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, you
So,
are correct.
yep. Anyways, I want to give a big shout out to Papa J, Vinny Holtz, Kenny 49ers, and 49er Media for all tuning in today. There was also Lack. What was his name? Somebody else tuned in that left a couple comments, and I definitely appreciate. Oh, Lack Knight LV. I definitely appreciate everybody who tunes into the show. I know it's been a while since our last one. We should be going live weekly, for the season. We'll see how the preseason plays out. But definitely regular season, I think the plan is to go live more frequently. So, there's that to look forward to. And we have in 1 minute, we will officially be on NFL Game Day Watch in 1 minute. There is NFL football being played tomorrow, right, Michael? Hall of Fame game?
Yeah,
So,
that is correct. Thursday night.
yep. I appreciate everyone. Yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next one. And go Niners. Mike, any last words?
Go Raiders. And no.
To
Just
answer
can't wait
your
for
question,
football.
Papa
Cannot
J,
wait.
maybe probably Tuesday nights, but we'll see. We'll see. It might
Yeah.
it might switch depending on the week, because you know, just, we were gonna go live last night, but then I worked until 6, went in traffic, uh, got home, and would have streamed super late. Streaming super late tonight. Um, and then, full disclosure, I had like a pretty important like work thing today, so you know, got that situated. So we went live today. All right.
Damn right.
All right, everyone. Have a great rest of your night. Peace out.
It's game day.
It's finally fucking football season. Call back to, before. I'm going to let it ride a couple minutes, or not minutes, couple seconds. Then I'm going to stop it. 3, 2,